Kevin's coming up.
In order to give the public advance notice of the district curricular meeting and the opportunity to attend and participate, this meeting has been advertised in accordance with provisions outlined in the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-6. This means that tonight's meeting has been advertised in the Home News Tribune, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cable Vision 118, and FiOS Channel 24. Notice of this meeting has been filed with the Township Clerk. I thank everybody for coming. Let's do the pledge. Oh, move it over there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is the first meeting that is actually being videotaped. This is something that we came up with. This is where we have a record of all our meetings. And whether we put them on TV or whatever, but it's, at least we have a little study of what went on at the meetings, and these will be distributed to the board members. Copies. Okay, the first thing on the agenda is STEM and robotics education, and I'm very interested in it. My grandson, he watches a show known as How Industry Manufactures and Produces Things. And basically, a lot of this stems down to robotics. If you go into the auto industry, a lot of the hazardous jobs today, they're produced by robots. They don't put the people out there. For example, spraying a car. It goes into a booth now, and a robot actually paints it. And we have an individual or a person that's controlling the robot in front of a computer. Okay, robotics is a branch of technology that deals with design, construction, operation, and application of robots, as well as computer systems for their control. My brother-in-law has a pool, and last year what he did is he picked up a robotic cleaner. He puts this thing in the pool, and it goes around all by itself. It's controlled. 5 or 6 hours, it pulls up all the algae from the sides. This evening we have a youngster, I believe you're a senior, right?
Yes.
And in the science classes, what they're doing is they're working on robotics at the present moment. Would you like to explain what you're doing? We would appreciate that.
This is Peter Fotis, by the way.
Peter? Okay.
Why don't I give you move along real quickly as far as the handout goes, and then I'll let Peter explain. Okay. What I've given you tonight is how the robotics started basically down at the it was the 9th grade setting, EMGNC, and yeah, it says robotics on the top.
Okay. Robotics on top.
So I've given you a brief history and the kits that we have down there. What Peter's going to demonstrate tonight is the NXT. We have one EV3, which is the next generation of the NXT. It has more capability, moves faster, programming a little bit easier. And then we have the Tetrix, which is the next step up. For some of you, it's sort of like the old Erector sets, only it's airplane-grade aluminum structures.
Right.
But it can run off of the NXT. Presently, over at Jonas Soft Middle School, Mr. Essione has a club going. He has about 12 to 15 students up here at the high school and EMGNC. We have about the same number. The only thing that seems to be missing in the mix, unfortunately, are the girls. It's mostly guys thinking of going on to be engineers. So that's where we are right now. Dr. Regolia was able to obtain some information about Carl Sandburg Middle School. So we do robotics in the astronomy class. We spend a marking period in regards to space exploration. I've attached some pictures to show you what occurred 4 years ago. The boys in that class did a long-term program. They spent $700 of their own money. Came up with a dynamite robot. Could climb a 60-degree incline, send pictures back to a laptop, remotely controlled. So what we can do is unlimited, really.
Are there a lot of grants available in this area?
Tremendous number of grants. But unfortunately, to institute a big program, you're looking probably at a minimum of somewhere around $30,000. There's a lot of twos, a lot of $500, $1,000. You'd have to get so many of them.
Small grants.
But presently, we run the robotics club. We meet twice a week. As a thought, I went and spoke to the special ed teachers, and as you can see, I was able to get LEGO to donate 13 kits with a site license and teacher's manual to use with the special education students, basically because the We Do, which I have a picture of the information about the kit itself, in fact all the kits have information there, is about a second, third grade level, and after conferring with the teachers, they said that's about where the kids are. We're going to institute it as a pilot program in the fourth marking period this year to see how it goes, and if it's positive, well, then we'll pursue it from there. I'm also waiting to hear from the Old Bridge Education Foundation for a $500 grant to do a pilot program next fall over at Shepherd, and that'll be an after-school program. I'm working with Karen Longo right now. I would like to see a program that would be district-wide, starting on 5th grade up through high school. And what it would do would be an introduction and then a progressively more challenging type of program that as they moved up through from grammar school in 5th grade to middle school, it would be more complicated designs, more complicated programming, and then come up to the high school.
You're talking just creating a brand new program called robotics
After school.
after school.
Now, you'll find that most of your robotic competitions come from clubs. All right? And you have to start them early. Believe it or not, LEGO has competitions that go down to age 6. All right? That's the We Do. At that level, they're not true competitions in the sense that you have a winner, but everybody gets a certificate for participation. And one of the handouts I've given you tonight is a PowerPoint. It's a webinar I attended. Yes.
That's this one.
And it's got, it seems every major robotic manufacturer has their own competitions. LEGO goes from costing nothing to where it could cost you about $15,000 to go to a major competition, because you have to pay to join the organization, you have to pay for transportation, you have to pay for a place for the kids to stay for as long as the competition and food. Vex Robotics, which is one of the robots I would like to see introduced into the program, is not as expensive. Okay? But the programs are just as challenging because Carnegie Mellon comes out with the programming that goes with them. Eventually, I do have a vision. My vision is I'd like to see an actual 4-year robotics program at the high school that would work in conjunction with some of the major colleges in the area, that the kids could earn college credits while they're here. Duke University does that. I know that for a fact because I talked to some people from Duke when Dr. Agoli and I went to the NSTA convention down in Philadelphia. So there's a lot of things there. I've also put a background sheet on various courses I've taken from various institutions. And so this is the NXT. Peter's going to demonstrate it to you. This piece right in here, this is referred to as the brick. This is the computer. The programming for this is a drag and drop. It's very easy. A laptop, a desktop. You create your program, you put it into the computer, and then you operate it. This one is an inchworm. This is Bluetooth, remote control. Okay? So, Peter, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the inchworm. So what it does is it uses a locking gear on the wheels in order so that when the arm turns, the wheel holds itself, and then when it goes back down, it'll move itself forwards.
Start at the end. Give it some room. Okay. I demonstrated this at the Shepherd at the 4th grade last Thursday. I attached what the teacher refers to as a reflection. One of the students did it. I put it with this sheet. It's paper clip. That's from a 4th grade girl. Okay. One of the things we talked about. One of the things we talked about is they're working on force and motion. We talked about the difference in how we could program it to take longer, shorter times, the angles involved, that you have to get them right based upon the gears. And when you read that, you can see what she came out from 45 minutes. So she would be a prime candidate for female representation in a robotics program. All right, so that's the inchworm. This is probably somewhere around the 5th or 6th grade level. Okay.
What would something like this cost, a kit to put together?
It's in the printout. The more kits you buy, the cheaper it comes per kit. All right. There's a description of the WeDo and the cost. There's a description of the NXT and its cost, and a description of the Tetrix, which is the high end, and its cost. Okay?
This comes out of the science budget, right?
I've been getting it through grant monies. No budget money. It's taken me about 4 years to get 10 kids together. It's taken Mr. Ascione 7 years to get 8 kids together. So we're chipping away, and Mr. Cangelosi gets the money from dues from the club.
Right. And the kits are, you're going to dismantle this later on, right? And then
Oh yeah,
rebuild it.
you can take it apart and
Right.
build it as another thing. We've built forklifts. Ms. Kibler has come down and seen some of the things that the kids put together, catapults. You can make anything you want. There's a whole program that goes with it. Okay? Question?
So, yeah, so for one of those kits, just kind of walk us through, I mean, what's the size of the class that's putting that together? You know, how many students? How long is it taking them? And then you say you could take it apart, and then you'll build something else out of that? And then
Well, what we do is, there's 21 students in my class. I put 3 students per kit. All right, mainly because I only have 8. I'm limited in the number. We build a basic robot like you see here, okay? And then the kit comes with various types of sensors, sound, ultrasonic, touch, and then what we do is, or what I do is I present them with a challenge, and depending on the difficulty of the challenge, they get X number of class periods to put a program together and then come up and present the robot to me, and performing the challenge is basically the test.
So is the challenge, you say put the program together, so you were also discussing about how they design it on the computer and so on. So is that...
Well, they don't design it on the computer. There's 2 basic designs at this level, and that comes in a manual.
Okay.
The programming is done on the computer.
Okay.
Okay. So I've assembled tutorials for them to watch, so they know the capabilities of the sensors and how they have to place the sensors within the program in order to get it to do what I want it to do. And as an example, one of the first challenges, they have to make a square 2 feet on the side, a triangle 2 feet on the side, and then a circle that's 2 feet in diameter. So they have to do that. When they're ready, they don't get a second chance. When they're ready, they bring it to me and they say, okay, I'm ready to make the square.
The robot does the square. The robot
Yeah,
right.
completes the square, the triangle, or the circle.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll let Peter demonstrate the Bluetooth for you.
So this is the basic tripod NXT, and it's connected to this one via the Bluetooth. And each of these is also actually just a motor that's not moving, and NXT will read what angle the motor's at and turn the corresponding wheel based on that. I can turn if I, turn one wheel or something.
And then there's programs that, if they run into difficulty, Peter did this outside of the regular classwork, coming after school in order to have it for Science Night. So I figured since he deserved a little time to shine.
So in industry, for example, in a manufacturing plant, let's say of automobiles, he would be the controller, the robot would put the rim on the vehicle, am I right?
Yes.
And wouldn't touch that.
If
Then you're going down the line that way.
If you want to see what these things are capable of, all you have to do is go to YouTube and put in Lego videos.
Right.
And it will astonish you what can be done with these. And these are basic kits, and I think a single kit's about $280. But as you buy more and more kits, the price comes down, and you definitely save money. There's also training that Lego will do. They'll come to the site, and they'll train the teachers for you. Naturally, it's not for free, but what that would do, it would give you a unified program clear across the board, that all the middle school teachers were doing the same thing, all the grammar school teachers, and naturally, once they're trained, they can train other people.
Right.
So it just expands.
And we're right now, emphasis is on clubs, because the after-school time, build the interest, starting at the elementary, the middle, the high school, build the interest, so that we have a base for offering something down the road.
Right.
Now, you said that you have a 4-year vision that you'd like to see. Does the beginning of it start with these prefabricated kits, and then go to a place where the students are actually doing the fabrication of the parts?
I believe that's possible. I've often thought that one of my best students in the robotics was a boy who graduated 2 years ago, Mark. He went to a technical school to become a mechanic for Mercedes-Benz and BMW. When it came to the robots, he was beyond an A. He helped. When we went back to bookwork, he was about a C student. He was definitely a hands-on student. And I could see something like the automotive students getting turned on to something like this, and maybe vice versa, because engineers often, they're in the design end, they never see the fabricating end.
Right.
Okay, and now you're coming out with 3D replicators that you can make parts, which a lot of people are doing now. They're doing it for competitions, that they need a specific part, and say Lego or Vex doesn't make it. So they design it on a CAD, then they take it over to the 3D and they make their part. So it starts like this, and it just widens unbelievably.
Very interesting.
I
think we should pursue this area, do the research, and I like your vision, what you would like to see in the next 4 to 5 years, possibly creating a program like this, by called robotics, start them off at the middle school. Basically, what I read online is they actually start them off in kindergarten, first grade with this stuff, with the little Legos.
That's the We Do kits, which I gave you.
Right. And then as they go, yes.
I can make 2 comments from the technology perspective.
Got it.
First of all, our elementary technology curriculum includes components on the basics of STEM as an extension of the science program. So they do begin with some STEM concepts, design. They look at technical reading and writing, following directions, following steps, which are all basics for STEM. And the second issue is that when we did go to Texpo in January, we did look at a 3D printer, and Karen and I are looking to include one in the CAD program for next year, if possible. So we will be, we have been having discussions about that, so that could be a further extension of the robotics.
Well,
Yes, go ahead.
Mrs. Solokowski, in the full-day kindergarten program, we have put in a primary discovery center and have bought specific materials to support that in the kindergarten. In your handouts that you've been provided tonight is a course from the course offering book in the high school entitled Principles and Practices in Applied Engineering and Technology, which takes in the whole robotics issue as well as technology. Throughout the year, I've been tracking articles in the newspaper about various competitions that have taken place with robotics throughout the state.
Yeah, I see that.
And, you know, to see the different organizations that have, that are out there for our kids to participate in. And the one here that I found very interesting recently was students build arcades with cardboard and recyclables. This is STEM. Just as much as the robots are, so too is this. There was an article that I read about a year or so ago about a kindergarten class building houses. They had read the story of the Three Little Pigs. And if you recall the story of the Three Little Pigs, I'm going to huff and puff and blow your house down. One was made out of sticks and so forth. And the challenge in the kindergarten class was to build a durable house for the pigs. So it does. You have to really stop and think about STEM and the robotics, that a lot of it is very common sense, and we are doing it. The blocks that the children use in kindergarten to build is STEM, they're building. And that's why I just came across an article today about the technique of the Montessori school. And the Montessori philosophy was exactly what the DOE is promulgating now, is play. Children have to be engaged in play and discovery and experimenting. So it's all here. We're doing more than anyone realizes that we're doing, believe me.
And there's nothing better than educational play. You give them something that is very educational. They're having fun and they're learning at the same time. And it lights that spark at a very early age, so this way they go into those areas eventually later.
I'm just going to pass around something small. This was made on a 3D printer. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's quite amazing. So what a 3D printer does, you design something, and it's like a box. And on the back of it, instead of ink, has like what I would equate to as a weed whacking line. And the weed whacking line comes on a spool, and it feeds through to the 3D printer, which actually melts it and puts it out in the shape of whatever it is you designed in the program. And I was amazed when it comes out, it actually works. The one we're at, they built an adjustable wrench. And I thought, okay, it's just an adjustable wrench, but the adjustable wrench actually worked as one complete component when it was done. It had a little adjustment spinner on there, and it tightens. And that's a nut and bolt that's made as one piece. And at the end, it tightens in like a regular set would. So I can definitely see the part where you're actually making the components for your robotics through that.
There's firms that are on the verge of producing human tissue. It's one of the stocks they're pushing it right now. I just can't comprehend how you could do that.
But what is the, and you may not know this, but what is the level of what you need to design on the computer to get that intricate? So you're talking about the adjustable wrench and having the spool be able to actually operate the wrench handle, right?
Right.
So,
It doesn't really, obviously, to make an adjustable wrench would be something much more advanced, but it starts with like the CAD design.
Yeah, I'm
designing
sure it
stuff.
starts with just building a box and so on. But then,
The other,
I teach in the fall up at Middlesex County College. I teach the astronomy course, and one of my students up there, you asked how complicated it is. People are wondering, he has it at home, and he's just a tech kind of guy, and he saw about it and he spent money for it. So it isn't like it's something that's way above our ability.
Yeah, no,
a private citizen could
come
buy
down
one
price
and do
a lot,
that.
the base of the price of the printer is approximately $2,800. That's no bells and whistles. But the other piece that, to answer your question further, Kevin, is the fact that although they're able to design on paper and then design on CAD with the computer, another component of it is a kit. They sell programming kits where the kids can start at a very basic level and design something simple. And it will feed through.
Build a box and then build, take a step further.
And then it leaves it up to them to add other components. So you're making the wrench. Well, the kit is the design of the wrench, but the fact to make it move, you have to fill in that part of the programming.
I think one of the most amazing things is to go into the CAD class in the high school and see the bridges that they have built early in the year. Mrs. Hicks, you can certainly expand on that a little bit.
Excuse me, sorry. Ms. Nadat, she's our CAD teacher. She has levels 1, 2, and 3. And the kids draw out a bridge design, and then they go to the computer, they put it on the computer, and then they actually build it with balsa wood, and they test it with weights to see how much weight their design would hold, and obviously, the team of two that have the strongest bridge, wins, for lack of a better description. And then they go back and they, as part of the design loop, they go back and they revisit, okay, what was wrong with this design, why did this design work so much better, and they tweak it again back out on CAD, and in most cases they redo it again and they try to make it work. So, and just to add to our technology design class, Ms. Killer said about the arcade. Our technology design class this year, they did prototypes of roller coasters this year, using recycled materials, and Scott Beverly did a wonderful job with that. And he does, again, it's an extension of STEM. He does a lot of things with levers. He just did an electronics piece where he's adding electronics into what they're designing. So STEM isn't only the robotics. It's just, it's another piece of it.
And they also get it as part of the math program also. All these things are related, the math, the science, the technology. So it's all comes together. And I think another important consideration, especially at the elementary and the middle school, is that, currently there just is not a lot of time in the school day to do this. And that we're going to have to, looking forward, going to have to rethink of what we're offering and how we're offering the courses, and in order to make this a more prominent part.
Yeah, I spoke to Ms. Killer about this, that not that we want to add a lot of new courses. What we want to do is take all courses that we have and restructure them, redesign them somehow. Okay? I got very interested in this because I have a family member that was in a very bad car accident, I guess about 8-10 years ago, and he lost his legs. And what happened was what they did in the medical profession, because it's very big in the medical profession, when they put these new limbs on, they actually set it up where they're hooked up to the spine, and the memory is controlling these things. This is where we're going, the future. Eventually, like I said before, the robot's going to be carrying us around in a little case.
I'm robotic.
I'm
too hip, that's robotic.
What you're saying is that STEM, most people think of as science and technology and engineering, math, but the science and math are disciplines. The T and the E can be processes, using technology as a process, engineering as a process, and that's really where STEM is. It's not just subject matter, it's processes as well.
I mean, underwater research, we're not going to go down 2-3 miles in the ocean, look for something. We send these robots down there in these manned submarines. Same thing out in space. I believe that we should really put a lot of energy into an area like this and get these kids excited.
But that's why this discussion is so important, Matt, because these things are going on all along, and people don't know what is in the curriculum. So, and the clubs, Sandberg, their club, they've won awards for their robotic competitions. I'm sure
you
the same.
mentioned the marine area. I just took a NASA webinar on ROVs, remote operated vehicles, and you can build a submersible robot for $100. And what the kids do is I watched the whole thing about it and attended the webinar, and they take it up to the local YMCA and they test them. So it's really not expensive. It's just another aspect that maybe you do have a kid that likes robotics, but his thing is over in the marine area. That's where his interests lie. So it's just another application.
Right. It could be the marine area. It could be the astronomy area. It could be whatever. The medical profession is very, very large with this now. I think that's something that we're gonna.
Well, we were saying at 7:30, Pete's ride is coming at 7:30, and one small lady.
Yes, I really appreciate you coming. Thank you for the demo.
Thank you.
You did a beautiful job. Keep up the
Peter,
good work.
thank you.
And he's going to be one of our future leaders, okay? Future engineer. Okay, next on the agenda.
Good evening. Just a quick note in the English language arts side about the Book Buddies program that we are pleased to announce. We are working in conjunction with the Old Bridge Public Library. The Old Bridge Public Library is setting this up. It's a 8-week program.
Excuse me.
9 weeks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. 9-week program that meets 4 times a week for an hour. and it takes our 6 through 12 grade level students and buddies them up with elementary students who need help with their reading. It's an important time of the year for our elementary students. They're doing book reports at this time of the year, especially our 3 to 5 students. Many of them will need assistance. And so this is a call that's been sent out to all of our schools 6 through 12, all our grade level 6 through 12, to our middle schools and our high schools, to get involved and to pay it forward in a way. I'm also pleased to announce that one of the 6th grade blocks over at Carl Sandburg Middle School is actually shown interest to take it even a step further and is trying to get as many students as possible to go in there and help out, especially the fact that they're only around the corner. So it's been done before. It's been successful. I'd like to thank Jackie Kiloisa. She's our elementary ed librarian over there at the library. She does a great job putting this all together. So.
How do we get these kids here? Do we transport them, or?
As of right now, we're trying to figure out a way where we can get them to do it. If you look at the hours are after school time.
Right.
So right now, I believe Mr. Maranzoli is trying to put together a program. I'm going to be speaking with him this week because we're going to be starting the programs. The sessions will be starting on April 1st. So we're going to try to put something together to get them out there. But a lot of this is voluntary basis, is a voluntary system as well.
Right.
How do you get the elementary school students that need it?
Once again, the calls are going out. I don't know exactly how Jackie is doing it, but she usually goes out and visits the elementary schools and tries to push the program with the elementary schools. I'm getting in contact with the elementary principals this week as well to let them know that this program is going.
Yeah, because the timing is the elementary schools don't get out until 3:30, and
Right.
they get out
Yes.
earlier.
Well, if you look at the sessions are all 3:30, 4:30. There's a Saturday session, there's evening sessions.
Oh, good.
So they're all done. It's completely after school, out of school hours.
These kids are actually volunteering to do this, huh?
Yes, they are.
And when you're looking at transportation, are you looking for the students grade 6 through 12 that are helping, or are you looking to also transport the elementary, or both?
Well, again, we're going to see, again, this is a situation where we're going to have to see who signs up first.
Right.
And then see where our situation, and then go from there. Most of this has done, in the past, this has been a situation where they've always brought their, parents have brought their children there.
Right.
Well,
And that, again, because it has been out of school hours.
Yeah, well, my question would be, right, for the parents, for the working parents, who, I guess you have Tuesdays, 7 to 8, and you have Saturdays as well.
Mm-hmm.
But for, let's say, the Fridays or the Wednesdays, if they're working parents and they can't get the students there,
Yeah.
either the elementary students that need the help, or even the middle school, that if we can kind of assist in that way, that would
I think that would be a wonderful idea. Again, I think this is something we'd have to sit and look at our enrollments first.
Right.
And work in conjunction with the public library on that.
Mr. Salentano serves on the Old Bridge Public Library Board, and he's very much involved in this and brings it back to the schools. And I think this is a terrific program that we can certainly investigate, and see what kind of transportation, would be available. I know Denise is very, bogged down with athletics at various times of the year. And of course, our kids come from all over, and, it would be a little tricky to work this out, but it's certainly, we could certainly look into it, investigate it. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you very much.
Mark, do you have anything else you want to add on Science Night at the high school? We did put out a rather comprehensive sheet
Yeah,
of everything.
that really is, it's comprehensive, but sorry for the font 9, but that's not what we did on one page, both sides. You notice, we had 16 teachers
Trying to
there.
save paper or what?
with all those- I'm trying to save paper, doing everything I can, find the and talk less. I was told to talk very little.
No, really?
Yeah.
We'll run over it.
No, and the one thing I will say is, a lot of the teachers they all do this voluntarily, and what I do to say thank you to them is that per contract they have to have 5 meetings after school for 90 minutes for curriculum. So in lieu of attending one of those meetings, they can participate in Science Night, and it's a 2-hour, 7 to 9 block, but they're there from 6:30 to 9:30. And they all come and they do it, and they really enjoy it. We actually have one teacher, he and his wife came, and they brought their pets. One is a corn snake named Mary. The other one was named Fred, who was a bearded dragon. And so they set up a petting zoo where the kids could hold the snake or hold the bearded dragon, and that's what they did for the 2 hours. So
The corn snake, that thing grows very quickly. I bought one for my grandson 2 years ago. It was about, maybe 10 inches long. It must be around 2.5, 3 feet already.
For some of the students that were there, it's the first time they ever saw either a corn snake or a bearded dragon. So they were very...
I'd wear it though.
We call it the petting zoo.
Mark, do you put this out to the elementary and middle schools and invite them that night?
Right now, we haven't done it because with the high school students who are there, it's very crowded, and a lot of it is the competition. You just have a food competition that night where they bake science-related foods like the edible cell or the edible periodic chart or whatever, and then they have a competition, so it's very crowded. We're looking at a possible option maybe for something where we could do the elementaries in the middle beforehand, maybe, like 4 to 6. Take a, I would treat everybody who's there, who's working, I treat them with dinner from 6 to 7, and do 7 to 9 for the high school, something like that.
It would be a wonderful opportunity for our elementary students
Right.
to see what lies ahead, you know?
Just to come to the high school.
We'd modify the petting zoo a little bit then, maybe. It might be a little, I'll throw Lily in a room, they can hang out with Lily.
Let me know.
Yeah, but we could try that. I mean, I don't know, again, the transportation piece of it, supervision piece of it, would elementary teachers really willing to come and supervise? And
Well, I think it would be up to the parents, to bring their children.
Well, that's what I said, we figure out how the supervision, once we figure out the supervision piece of it, we'll be good to go. So we can look for next year.
Absolutely.
All right.
What about as an extension of Parent University? Could you have that as part of it?
We could, but the logistics of that would have to be worked out.
Yes.
Because that's a good way to get everybody there.
Oh, absolutely, and then our child care would go sky high too for that. But, no, there's wonderful opportunities out there, but what I don't want parents to miss is the opportunity for them to attend workshops and their children to be cared for. Because there's so much that our parents really want to know about our schools. And, we talked about even tying middle school and high school orientation into Parent University, and the PTA President's Council was totally opposed to that, so we had to go back and rethink that, and the orientation programs will be done separately.
And if we,
Sometimes we just load too much together, and they can't take advantage of everything.
I mean, there were some dissections done, as it says in there, that were done by the students, and there were 35 people watching the shark dissection, for example.
Right.
So I would modify that for the elementary students. I don't know.
I don't know, my daughter would love to see the shark dissection.
I was just going to say, I could think of a
Okay,
lot.
I mean, I guess we would just make it well known what's going to happen, so that they don't, okay.
So if their parents want to take them and walk away,
Right,
they can.
right, okay.
Where I live, we have Mare Week. I live down at the Jersey Shore. We have Mare Week in the elementary schools and up to the middle school. All have a different night where they showcase their science work from kindergarten up to 8th grade. And they have dissections, and the younger kids love it. They love going to the upper grades. They
There you go.
dissect squid and everything. They love it. They actually can't wait to get to those grade levels, so they get to do it at their grade level.
And we'll get a robot to perform the dissection for you. How's that, Matt? We'll get a robot to do it. That would be pretty unique, wouldn't it? That'd be neat.
No.
Am I done?
Raw meat sometime.
Am I done?
That's something that we can build up on, Mark, expand on possibly next year, and possibly use real time to publicize.
There you go. All right. Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Freshman transition?
yes,
I'd like to speak to that.
go ahead.
Last week, Karen Hicks, Tim Dolan, and I attended a workshop entitled Launch Your Freshman Towards High School and College Completion. And this was really a wonderful, wonderful workshop because it's really trying to get our freshmen focused and formulate a 10-year life plan to keep them motivated, to keep them focused, and above all, to keep them in school, and to formulate a direction for their life. And certainly they can go back and alter this plan and, find different avenues to explore throughout their high school and college years. But the most important thing is for them to come out with a career and a skill. We've been very, very diligent in providing college readiness, but perhaps our career readiness hasn't been as broad as it could be. And certainly this is what this program was looking at. Today, Karen, Tim, and I met with Karen Longo. And last week it was announced that the federal elementary secondary school grant was posted. This will be the 4th time that we have applied for this grant. We have won 2 grants in the past. This is a $1.2 million grant over 3 years. This is how we started our counseling program, thanks to Mrs. Hoffman in the elementary schools. And what our vision is, as we sat down and talked about this, and Karen, please feel free, and Jeff, I spoke with you about this today too, is to really take our vision for college and career readiness from the elementary school to the middle school and right up to the high school. And certainly the program that we've started in the elementary school through our counseling program, our Kids to College program, certainly makes our students aware of the type of the college, that college is an achievable goal. But this year we expanded it to include DeVry University too. So now we're getting more into the career aspect of it, and certainly we'd like to go further, you know, and forging that partnership with Berkeley Tech and Berkeley College, and certainly the work that Mrs. Hicks has done with Tom's Ford with our automotive students has been very, very beneficial, and certainly the cosmetology program with the partnerships that they have forged. So what we would like to do is to really approach this particular grant with the vision of college and career readiness, with a greater emphasis on career readiness. And certainly through Karen's advisory board, which I did attend this year, there's some wonderful partnerships that have been forged. And that career and technical education is even more important, because even as we've talked about the aviation program, which we have investigated, there is a tremendous shortage of aviation mechanics in the state of New Jersey, in this whole Northeast area. And they've been flying in mechanics from all over the world, all over the United States, to service the Northeast. So there is a shortage in certified skilled workers. And I can tell you, on the night of January 8th, I didn't need somebody with a college degree. I needed a plumber. And I needed him right away because I had a massive flood in my house from a pipe that burst.
Try finding a tool and die maker.
Right.
You have to import from Europe.
Absolutely. So there's a wonderful article here that just so focuses on the creating pathways to prosperity for our students. And this happens to have been in the NJEA review. And Karen, who gave us this article?
Vito Cangelosi.
Vito Cangelosi. And it speaks to exactly what this workshop was all about. And we are going to continue to look at the possibilities that this freshman program, transition program would have, because our goal, number one, is to keep our kids in high school and to get them, you know, into the career readiness programs. We're a comprehensive high school, and, you know, we've done a great job with getting 48% of our students into college, but now we need to get the rest of our student body certified in skilled career. And, you know, they end up, in many cases, being the entrepreneurs of the world and not the college-educated kids. So, you know, we have to provide that dual pathway for our kids, that not only should our students be in college courses, but they also should be in the courses that we are offering as a comprehensive high school for the careers.
You're absolutely right. There's nothing worse than a youngster that's going through the school system and is struggling in an academic program, but yet he's a happy or she's a happy camper when they take their cosmetology course or auto shop or whatever it may be. Okay?
Well, I think Mr. Alcott.
And this is why we have one of the best school systems probably in the state of New Jersey, because we do have such a comprehensive school system with all these programs.
And Mr. Alcott touched on it when he talked about the student who was, you know, far superior in creating the robots and doing
Right.
all of that. But when it came to the bookwork, it was
a C, right.
the C student. And C is fine,
No.
because the majority of our population is average. And we should never negate that C student as having a purpose and really achieving, because they're achieving at their own level. And this is what we neglect to realize. that each one of us is very different, and we perform at different levels, and average is fine. But the most important thing is to have our kids feel successful and productive and contributing to the workforce and to society. So on that note, I will now defer to Mr. Caulfield, who will talk about Park.
So Park Field Test, we're almost ready. I just want to start off and thank Ms. Moran and all the work that the tech team has put into this just enormous project. It's all new vocabulary. It's one of the most important things to understand about the park. It's a different vendor from what we've had from the NJASC, and the HESPA is Measurement Incorporated, and the park is Pearson. So it's just a new vendor. They have their own language and vocabulary that they use, and all of the tech components are in place. We're ready. So just from the administrative side, really quick, all the schools have been input. It's called a student data upload. So all of the students that were selected for the field test have been uploaded into the Park Pearson site. The test sessions have been input specifically by day, by school. So basically now we're kind of on the precipice of this Park field test. We're starting at the Salk School on Monday, March 31st. So we're going to start at Salk, and they have 2 classes that we'll be testing, and we'll have our online test is ready. The training is Thursday for the staff, so the teachers that were selected as well as the building techs will be present for the training. And basically where we are right now, we will be ready to present to them on how they print and access their authorization tickets, which the students get to log into the Pearson website, and then the proctors get what's called seal codes. So it basically controls the pace of the students as they go through the test. The biggest question is, I mean, even up to this weekend, there's emails going around about, you know, an accelerator, an Internet Explorer, that anything that happens on the tech side, it basically kicks the student out, and the proctor has to go in and fix it. So that's the only part of the test that we cannot see.
Is this a practice run?
This is,
Yes.
it literally,
Classes, right?
yes, it literally is a field test. All the schools that were selected, it's 2 sections per school. Memorial was selected for PBA and EOY and a couple of other schools. So there's 2 sections per building.
5 schools.
Yeah, and then so we're ready, and we'll see when we hit go. So you know so the proctors are going to have to fix some of the little glitches that come up. And Pearson has readily admitted that the field test is a test of the test. So not that we're guinea pigs, it's working for us as well, because we got to go through the motions of installing proctor cashing machines. I never thought I would understand what one is, but thanks to Ms. Moran, have an idea of what that is. So it's taking one test, and it can take that one test through the proctor caching machine, so not to additionally strain the server. It converts that to 50 tests to go to each one of the student devices. So that's all been in place, and they're installed, and we're ready to go next month.
We're going to have awfully large labs, though.
Yes.
When we set up off the ground, probably another year or so?
iPads also. We'll be using the iPads for testing, which was another reason for implementing the device that we chose, because the iPads are park compliant.
Because at the elementary level, I think the computer labs are pretty small, aren't they?
28.
28?
So this field test, we will be testing both the iPads and the desktops. You know, Park keeps changing the ground rules, as Jeff said. You know, and this has truly been a collaboration. We've worked very closely together with Mr. Hotman, the technicians, Sabrina Anderson, Jeff. We've been it's been a constant back and forth regarding the setup, and our building support people in the buildings themselves have been very instrumental, because the techs have gone out and they've configured, and then the next day we get an email saying you've got to update. So there's been many updates that we've had.
Changes overnight.
It changes overnight.
So for example, let's say McDivitt, they have over 500 students. So we're going to have a time span of a week only to test all these kids?
They're not testing this
No,
time
I
around.
understand that, but it's going to come down the line.
20 days.
It's 2 20-day windows.
20 days.
There's the performance-based test and then the end of year, so each one is a 20-day window to testing.
So it'll be like Lent, Matt. It'll be a season of testing.
I understand. Right. So we need to watch us for the testing.
It'll be a
like
rotating schedule.
Yes, we
And
can set
that'll
AM
give-
and PM.
That'll give enough time if there is issues in a building with Wi-Fi one day or something.
There are no issues, knock on wood.
No,
Wi-Fi,
no,
everything's
no,
been
no.
remedied.
I know that. I know that there aren't, but there's, of course, I know at home too. Anytime that you need to get something done, something happens, right? So I'm just saying that's why we kind of have that window, right? So that
Right.
there's enough time built in. So if anything were to happen to go wrong that day, it could be done the next day. Right?
And basically, as I don't remember if you were here when we discussed it last month, there is no feedback to the district whatsoever
Right.
as a result of this
Right.
test. So this is truly a test of the test for Pearson. And, we're ready, we're going to do our best, and,
That's all you can do.
Right.
Do your best. Okay, very good.
The last
That's
item
great.
is
Go ahead.
advanced placement courses. Mr. Citadino asked us to look into this because on the school report card, if you look on page 6 of the district, it was reported our AP courses that were offered in 2012-13 school year, the number of students enrolled in them, and the number of students that were tested. And the discrepancy over the years has been the number of students who take the course and the number of students who take the test. And the cost of the test is $89, and the Board of Education does not subsidize this test. The students are required to pay for this test themselves, thus they're not taking the test because they don't want to expend the $89, particularly if they take more than one AP course. So a brief survey was done of the districts and surrounding districts, and the following districts pay for or reimburse students for advanced place testing: Piscataway, Spotswood, Denellen, Perth Amboy, Monroe. It's required if the student is in the AP course, they have to take the test and the district pays. Sayreville, 3 or better, are reimbursed, and East Brunswick does not pay. Okay, that was very interesting. And Jeff, feel free because you were involved in a lot of this. Woodbridge is paying this year. It's the first time that they've paid.
They're paying for the first exam only
Mhm.
that the students should take.
Because many of our students do take more than one exam. Some of them are up to, I think, 3. It's something that the board, might want to consider. It's an approximate $63,000 price tag for our students. But again, we're being compared with high schools where they do pay to have their students take the AP exam. And on the last page of the school report card, it shows you the schools, the high schools that we're compared to. And, they're paying, we're not paying, so,
Ms. Kibler, are they all $89, all of the courses?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was looking through the course offering book, and I thought I saw courses where there was a test or an exam for college credit and it was more expensive. Is there a difference?
That's a relationship that we have with those colleges, where we have a teacher who's certified, and then those students can then pay that school for college credit. They're still paying for
Yeah, I
that.
did notice that there were specific schools like Kane University.
Yes,
right?
it's a
Right,
relationship
so-
that we have with those schools. Yes.
Okay, so those prices, but it's essentially the same thing. It's an AP course.
No, they're
No,
considered
college
just
courses.
college
Oh,
level
they are.
courses, yes. So they don't have to take the AP exam to get credit, and then the trend among the colleges is not to give credit and nor even to give placement as we move forward, because kids can take, we offer AP World for freshmen, so if schools, just say 25, 30 years ago, were more likely to give you credit, but there were less advanced placement offerings. So a school, if they're going to give you carte blanche, if you get a 3 or above, some of our students could take 6 or 7 exams and end up having a semester, but they're not paying the colleges. So the trend is moving away from giving credit. They used to just award credit for those classes and replacement.
Right, and if they're not going to get college credit, they're not going to take the AP exam and spend $89 to take the exam. So that's where we lose a lot of students taking the exams.
And the time from when they register for the course and then they get accepted to the school,
Right.
they might have
They'll know.
chosen their school, and
They know
the
their
5
decision.
schools they applied to where they were accepted doesn't offer credit, so there is no value to them.
Right. They're just wasting that, $300+ to take a test that means nothing to them. But if we paid for it and it was required, then those numbers obviously would be very different.
But do we also feel that if we paid for it, would there be more of an interest in those classes? So would we have higher enrollment, or are those classes full to begin with and we really don't have room for...
Well, the classes are full. There's an interest in taking the advanced placement classes.
So
really.
it wouldn't be any higher, because we have limits on the classes, obviously, right?
Correct,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Right, and for example, advanced placement psychology is full. I mean, the interest that was expressed into AP Psych, which was last year was the first year, and it's full, and the interest is very high in that course, and a teacher can draw interest, but there is definitely interest in taking the advanced placement courses.
Another example is AP Government and Politics, which at one point was it only had one course, and now we have 3. So again, it moves with the demographics of our school district, but has interest in one class or another.
Same with the AP Art classes. Just to add on to what you're saying, AP Art History has grown tremendously. We have three sections of AP Art History. We've only had one for years and years and years. So again, the students want to take it. Yes, financial, budgetary constraints are there, but I think, the interest is there. So if we can provide them a way to do this, they're being prepared for a test that then they're not taking.
And then we've limited the science to just AP Bio, AP Chem, and AP Physics, because all the sciences are 10 credits. Because you have to do all the wet labs that go with the college course. So it's a double period every day, 5 days a week. So rather than add more AP Sciences, we've left it at those 3 because it ties up 2 periods a day for those students. But we have students who are taking both. We've had students who take AP Chem, AP Bio, back-to-back years, and sometimes some are trying to take it the same year if they can.
And in social studies, a student can come in technically starting off as a freshman and take an AP social studies course all the way through.
That's where their interest is, right? Go for it, son. Okay.
I'm on neither,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I need support.
Why don't you go ahead?
But that's actually, they're with...
That's what I was asking.
Right, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
It's the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're part of the technology, okay. Okay, I want to thank all of you for coming into the curriculum section, and I guess we can kind of cross over to technology, and...
Okay, we're ready. I'll pass around the attendance. I will pass this agenda. And we have 2 documents that we have to share, which are dealing with the Children's Internet Protection Act and the Accessible Use Policy.
I would have... Yeah, I stopped by. Again, it's cake. We don't have to read the whole thing over. Okay, you folks that are here for technology, this is the first where we're actually taping.
Ladies, gentlemen.
Okay, we're ready for the test.
Teacher voice.
I happen to represent that remark.
Why is that?
I'm a lead.
Yes, you should. Come on up here.
For about 3 years now.
the same way that was the last meeting. Come on,
If it's okay with everybody, I'd like to go out of order and start with number 4, which is technology and uses in our classroom. Only because we have a student here and I don't want to, keep him too late. So,
Yes, go ahead.
we have been talking a lot at these meetings about what technology is used for in our computer labs. We've been talking about how our classroom teachers are using technology, specifically the interactive whiteboards, the document cameras, those kinds of things to support day-to-day instruction. Ms. Keeler and I have been collaborating on quite a few technology infusions for the arts. And what we decided to do, that it would be a great idea to show how technology is being used to support our ESL students, our music students, and we had hoped that we would have somebody here for art, but it just didn't work out. Maybe the next time we'll be able to do so. And one other area we would like to investigate also and bring to you is the language, world languages. So we thought for now we would start with 3 and then at another time include the other areas. So,
if I may just interject, what is to me interesting about these classes, which you will see, but then also hopefully in the future with the world language classes, is the fact that the technology is not being integrated, as a reward system. It's not being integrated as a fun piece of something that's just, oh boy, now we get to play on a computer. It is actually being used as a tool within the classroom. It's being used as a resource, much like we would use a paper, a pencil, the board, etc. And that's what struck me when I walked into Ms. Thatcher's class, Mr. Patri's class, certainly, and always Ms. Rivera's class. They use it as a way to teach the children, not as a reward. It just so happens that the kids love it, but it really is just part of their day. They don't know kind of what else it's supposed to do. This is the natural way of doing things. So that's where I think it's important for us to see how technology is integrated into this. As simplistic as it may be in certain parts, I think that's the beauty of what they do with it.
okay, so Melissa, would you like to start?
Sure.
Melissa Thatcher?
Yes. Is there a way to project or?
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so maybe while we're setting up, Mark, if you would like to go?
Yeah, sure.
Mark Patchy?
Okay, one of the programs that I've been using for the last 2 years, and with the help of Dr. Hoker, I've gotten for iPad minis, is a program called GarageBand. And what GarageBand is pretty much it's a music sequencing writing program where the kids can actually write their own music, but it's not using traditional notation.
That's why they call it garage.
GarageBand, it's like being in your own garage band. And the thing about it is it gets a lot of students that aren't necessarily into music, kids that come from learning instruments, kids that are not into music, but they can pick up GarageBand and they can pretty much play an instrument automatically. For example, if you pull up the keyboard, you have a keyboard. Now, it looks intimidating.
Right.
I show the kids how to play it, and they can, let's see if I can, another instrument. Here, smart guitar, for example. Guitar, it looks like a guitar.
Right.
You can see it looks just like a guitar. And all you do is you hit autoplay, so the kids can fool around with the chords, and then all they have to do is hit the chords. If they want to write out chords, they can figure out what they like, the sounds, and I give them the freedom to do what they want.
You want to show it? Up on the...
You can, it's a mini.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
big,
it's not the same interface.
no, it has
okay.
the new,
Sorry.
sorry.
The Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Mark
So-
created a school song on GarageBand with his students last year, by the way.
I didn't
So-
create it, I took the song that someone else wrote, and then I re-recorded it.
With their
Yeah, so I technically stole it.
And I believe you heard it at a board meeting.
He said it
you know
to
what?
us. It's great.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah, I
if I
believe
have
you
it.
heard it. They played it at the board meeting.
Yes, I
Oh,
have it.
yeah, they played it at the board meeting, right.
I have a bunch of, I have like over 1, 2, 3, 4, about 20 different songs that kids have done on here. So here's the Madison Park one. You know what? It's not downloaded. It's not in the cloud. I do have,
Yes.
trying to see if I have.
Funk
And
school.
here's one that, one of my students, Moose, got.
Okay.
Do you have it on yours? 'Cause I don't have it anymore. If it is, it's on one of the school iPads.
I think it's on our website.
So I have another song that a student created just a couple weeks ago. It's kind of hard to hear, but she did it in about 2 or 3 classes
So she's taking all the different instruments,
and arranging them
putting
in
it,
order.
arranging it, and
Yes,
then
and then-
it plays the music
Right,
together.
sometimes we have a voice, a microphone that I bring, and that's it. So it's really great. The kids love it. They come down at lunchtime during their free time to do this garage band with me. They sit there and they go into the little corner, and for like 20 minutes they're creating. It's great because when they come back, they have something totally unique. And I try not to give them any rules because being a musician, I want to get it has to, and I try to walk away and be like, okay, you know what, just do what you think sounds good, and then I'll help them along as they go along. But I kind of don't want to give them any.
Which one are you looking for? Garage band song number 2.
You're doing?
Good,
Okay.
You gonna play something?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
We're artists, we always come prepared to perform, no matter what, just in case.
Who was that famous saxophone player?
Cloud Clement? I have it here.
Which one? The reason
I played the same.
Really?
No, the trumpet player.
I played sax and the flute when I was a kid.
Your garage band song number 2 on here.
You still play?
Nah, I just played the guitar.
No, that's not it. It'd be after that.
Everybody, Marison Park's bringing out
I know,
all the...
everyone's got their stuff.
I don't know, is that ours?
Yeah, Kathy had me put it on.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know what that was there.
That's it.
That's not ours. That's the one I did. That's the guy. That's the one I
Oh,
did.
so that's the kid singing. That's the kid singing.
Yeah, that was a different one.
Okay.
We redid it with Garage Band. So, we don't have that one, I'm sorry.
All right.
So, but anybody have any questions or anything? It's a great program. It's free now, too, so you can download it from Apple. Anybody who has an Apple, iPad, or iPhone, I tell the kids, you can just go download Garage Band, and kids love that stuff. Yeah, it's really awesome.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah. I think the line for the space.
Melissa? I use a lot of technology in my classroom every day. I have a smart board in my room, which is like totally key for me teaching. I teach music theory, which is like compositional writing of music for levels 1 and 2. And the theory 2 does take, a lot of them take the AP music theory exam, even though the course is not labeled as of now as AP music theory. So basically I use the smart, which I'm sure many of you have seen before. So when the kids come in, all my classes, I have, the do now and everything ready to go.
Melissa, I'm just going to interrupt you for one quick second. I'm not sure if you recall last year we approved something called Smart Music, the software program that we had discussions about. This is Smart Music in action.
Well, this
Kind
is
of.
this is one of 3 uses of technology that I do. I use a smart, like not this. This is smart, like
Smart
a
notebook.
smart board.
Oh,
smart
smart
board.
This is
This
the
is a
software
smart
that
board.
comes with the smart board.
Right. So yeah, I have basically all my classes, of each class that I teach. My handwriting is terrible on here, by the way. But I'm able to. I use the staff paper all the time, which I show them like a skill on how to write music, and then whatever that skill is, I can print it out and give them handouts and that kind of thing of everything that I've done in class. But I can always refer back to certain things that I do, such like I use like circle of fifths every day when teaching like scales and stuff like that. But that I have it always there, readily available whenever I need to teach them that, or refer back to it, I should say.
Melissa, if you go back to that graph, the paper, the scale paper
Yeah.
again,
I think it's important for you guys to realize that, and if she has that up on the smartboard and the kids or Melissa draw in notes, she can go up and physically move those notes because it's interactive, which you know, that's an important concept when you're looking at the interactive learning, because she can say, well, if you change the measure between these notes, it changes the timing.
Right.
You know, so that really is wonderful because it's no longer static.
Right. This is like key to my teaching. Before, I don't even know, to be honest, thinking back of how I did this without this, because this program is perfect for what I need to do every day in my classroom. Not only that, but like I use this as kind of like an overhead projector almost. I like scan music. We do a lot of musical analysis in my class. So we talk about chords and where they want to go and different composers and that kind of thing, and I'm able to, you know, circle things or, you know, do the analysis with my students, and then I could print it out, you know, once we're completed with the assignment. So this is one thing I use this every single day. I think I'd be lost without it, but that's one thing that I use every day. Okay, in addition to that, there's a software program called Finale Notepad. And this is where I give a lot of my I give all my theory students, especially, projects of writing music. So I talk about a concept, I assign them a project, and this is like a free program that they can actually get on their computers, and they have to complete the project and then email it to me. And it allows them to write their own music and then to listen to what they wrote. So this is a student that just wrote, this is one of my Theory 2 students.
Melissa, when you say write their own music, you're talking writing via computer, correct? They're creating their music, composing on the computer.
Yeah, this particular project was write your own piece of music, but it was very specific parameters. Like I had taught them very specific concepts on, it's just not just write whatever you want to write. It's not like that. I teach them very specific concepts about certain musical skills, and they have to implement, there's a big criteria sheet that I give them, they have to implement that. So, and you can see all the, they have to analyze their music when they're done. So after they're done, you'll see all the Roman numerals, that's chord analysis. You'll see the N and the P, they're analyzing non-chord tones, that kind of thing, cadences, things like that. But then they can play it back to them. They can use different instruments. They could use a trumpet, and it will sound like a trumpet, like different things like that.
6 years of piano lessons.
But yeah, like a lot of these chords that she's using are like specific things that are on the AP Music Theory exam. And a lot of colleges do take that AP Theory course to pass out of the first level of music theory. I have to say, none of my Theory 2 students have scored less than a 3 on that exam. So that was like, it's really nice to know like they have the concepts that they need to know to do really well. The second portion of that test is an ear training. So they have to sit there with a recorder and they have to like record themselves sight singing a melody. They'll get a music melody at sight and they have to record themselves. So I use this other website called Teoria.com, and they are able to listen to the music and then start writing down what they think it is and then check their work, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool too. The last thing, which blows me away, how somebody came up with this music program, was smart music. Basically, these students, their music that we're working on in class, in my wind ensemble, my symphonic band, is on this program. Not every piece of music is on this program, but a very, very big library is on this program. This particular piece we will be playing in our spring concert. Some of them don't like it as much as others because I'm able to really check to see every single note and where they're having troubles. For me, it's amazing because I can go back and see where I need to spend a little bit more time on an individual basis. It's very hard to hear every single individual kid playing in my band. So this, I send them out into the hallway and they have their earphones and they have this program and they test themselves on how well they know it, and I do take it as a test grade, but I give them an infinite number of times to take the test, because for me, the more they take it, the more they're practicing, and therefore the better they're becoming. So I say to them, I have a time frame, you have 2 weeks to take this exam. You can take it one time during class, and then after that, you're going to take it as many times as you want to on your own time. They can come during lunch, they can come before school, after school, whenever they want to do it, and I will erase their first score and put their highest score in. So it's not like, you know, if they get a 60%, it's not like it has to stick, you know. Yeah, they keep practicing it, so it's a beneficial thing for the entire band. So Aaron is going to demonstrate how this works. When they first come to the computer, they have a microphone that's attached to their instrument. They have earphones. They have one ear in and one ear out, so they can hear what they're playing, and then they can hear the band in their other ear. I'm going to have it playing through the speaker over here. They go up to the computer. They want to tune their instrument first, because if they're really sharp or flat, it will grade them wrong. So they don't want to do that. So go ahead and tune your instrument. It's sometimes very sensitive, so go ahead, one more time. You're really close. You're good. Okay. So when they're done with that, they can choose to play with the accompaniment, which is the entire band. They're going to hear the whole band playing in their ear while they're playing their music. And the green line, this is kind of like rock bands for bands, for band instruments, if you know what that video game is. The green line is going to follow them, and they're going to play. And then when they're all done with the take, it's going to grade them on how well they do. Obviously, we can't play the whole piece, so it's not going to be a very good grade right now because it's a very long piece. They can choose to play with a click track, which means it's going to like click for them, so they know where the tempo is the whole time. And they play with the band there. And that's just about it. So we're going to give it a shot here. I'm going to make the microphone just a little bit more sensitive. Okay. So, are you ready? Do you want to sit? So we'll just listen to him play a little bit, and I guarantee it's probably going to be like a 15 or 20% when he's done.
This is going towards your grade.
Yeah.
That's right.
Better make this up.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got it over.
No, he's got it over here. Okay. So we're going to start the take, and it's going to count him off. But he didn't finish the whole piece.
That's why.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't finish the whole piece.
So what happened?
The green notes.
Give him a grade.
Yeah, the green notes are the notes that he played correct, and the red notes are the notes that he played incorrect. So And then
So it's immediate feedback.
It's
That's
immediate,
the beautiful
yeah.
part about it.
And this is the great part too, that a lot of the kids will say, but Smart Music made a mistake. I played that note right, but they said I played it wrong. And no, but this is the best part because I can go back now and listen to what they played. And yes, the computer makes mistakes. Sound great. The microphone is very sensitive, but I can go back and listen to what he played. And if I wanted to, I could make an MP3 of it and put it on, you know, if I wanted to, you know, share it with him. If I wanted to make him a recording or something like that, that would be the MP3.
Probably send it in an email? You'd send him an email?
Yeah, I could send him an email with the MP3 so he can listen to what he did. The only part that is not that great as of right now is that not all my students, like, they can get a subscription. I have a teacher subscription, but if all of my students had a subscription, they could actually take this test at home. I could give them weekly assignments, and it will actually send it directly to me, and it will have my whole students roster, and it will have all their progress listed.
Currently,
So-
the subscription is $140 per subscription?
For the teacher edition, it's $140.
What
For
is
the
it for our
student, it's $40.
40
just
for a
40.
year?
$40 for a full school year, or for a full year.
For a full year.
Now,
We did at the elementary.
We spoke about
At
this.
the elementary, we spoke about it, so just so you know, I sent, Danny Boy, what I sent to you, the three of you, about maybe two or 3 weeks ago. There's an elementary student that Mr. Bell is working with. She is one of the students who chose to purchase this $40 Smart Music software. She's working with it, and I sent, you know, the email over to them. And unfortunately, it's funny because when I walked into the class, she performed the whole thing perfectly on, I think it was clarinet, perfectly. I chose to record her, and the poor girl made a few mistakes, and she was so nervous. But it was beautiful, and she admitted to me, she said, it's because I'm able to practice at home with Smart Music. So, and then what Colin can do is he immediately, as you're saying, he put it on MP3, sends it off to the parent. This is what your child did in class today.
Right.
Is Smart Music an Apple program, or is it?
No,
So,
it's for
It's for both.
any computer.
Right.
It's
So
on
it's
both platforms.
Android, it's Microsoft.
And it actually works on
They can have
iPad
an
too.
iPad at home.
Yeah, it works
They
on
can do it on
iPad.
their computer.
Yeah.
Last
And now
April, they
the
did one
microphone
for
that you're
iPad.
using, that's just a microphone that you have, but if
No, this is actually, they
Part of
really
it.
do need to purchase this microphone that goes with it. It is like, once they have it for life. So it is $20 for the
$20
microphone, but it's meant for this program. So, I mean, you can use another microphone, but it might not be as sensitive as this one. You can tell the recording quality on it is not that great, but it is able to pick it up enough to make sure that the notes that they're grading. I mean, he did a take earlier today where he did the whole piece, and then he just hits the keep button on which take he likes the best, like which one he wants.
I
me
keep
to
the 86 instead
Yeah,
of
me
40.
too.
So that microphone, I noticed you have it clipped on and dropped inside there.
Yeah, it
But
clips
for
on to
different-
their
For
instrument.
different instruments. I
It
mean,
works. Like even if
like
you put
it
on the
was a
music
flute
stand.
or something, I
Yeah.
mean, where you stick it in the end, or like
Yeah, you could stick it on the ends. You could stick it
on a clarinet
on.
or
You could even
something.
put it on a music stand for my percussion
oh, you could.
students.
So as long as it's close. So
Right.
like if it was a violin or something, you'd put it in front of the person. Right?
And it could grade a snare drum. It could grade a bass drum. It grades any kind of musical instrument. You could think a triangle, anything. So yeah, it's totally like, yeah. I was shocked when I saw it.
I think you should keep the 14 just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah, he hasn't taken it officially yet, so maybe
I
he'll
think I will take it
he'll
even
stick.
official.
Well, let me
Official.
just
They have an app that you launch the program. I sent you short about an app.
He got on the high end.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think it's like a
Yeah,
90.
You know, it's funny though, I wouldn't have known you did any wrong notes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you did.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known. It sounded fine to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but.
But it's not even like a wrong note.
note.
Like if he comes in early or if he plays a wrong rhythm, it'll pick that up too. Like it's that.
So it really is like rock band.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like this part right here.
Yeah, it's anything that he plays wrong.
Yeah, like this part right here where it says 1-1, I came in like probably a smidget of a beat late and he graded it.
When I saw that,
So just that little bit.
spot, that's why it's happening.
Yeah, just like a little bit.
Melissa, do you have anything else?
No, that's it. Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And we do want to also thank the board for supporting this, because I really feel that having this program, it's unbelievable, and it will help move them forward.
Absolutely, because not only do my kids play my music, they go on
Ladies,
here.
gentlemen, please.
They go on to the library and they want to play. Like, there's so much stuff on here. Like, it's not just band music.
I did it before coming here.
Yeah, Aaron was super excited because he went on here and there is like solos and exercises and like things that are particular to his instrument, things he just wants to play for fun. It's a huge library.
And I also think it's an advantage because your music is it's virtually indestructible.
Correct.
They don't have the paper, the sheet music, all that anymore.
Is the $40 per student subscription an unlimited library, or is
Oh
there
yeah,
like
it's unlimited. Thousands a year.
no higher
For a whole year.
price that you get more?
For 12 months, yep.
Yep. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Okay,
Melissa.
thank you.
What is his name? Aaron.
Aaron, thank you.
Are you going to take
No, I'm not an indoor.
Okay.
I'm a Cloud 9.
Natasha, can you set up, please? Just push Melissa on the side.
No, don't do that.
No.
Can't do that.
Do you need to get in here?
I've asked Natasha Rivera to come also. She is representing the ESL department, and she's actually a former elementary computer teacher that made the jump to the ESL department. So she does have a very strong technology background, and that's another reason why we wanted to showcase her and the work of her students. So Natasha is going to set up.
It wasn't logged on, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I should have set it up. This one's going to be a while.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to add, as part of an overview, and what some of the things are that you're doing with your students that
I guess
are different from the traditional approach?
I was going to start introducing myself, but you already did that. So that's my first slide right there. Like Roseanne said, I taught computers for 6 years in our district before I became the ESL teacher. And this is my second year as an ESL teacher. Before I taught in Aldrich, I taught in North Brunswick, and I taught 3 years of computers and 2 years in the classroom. So I am a veteran teacher who loves computers and loves technology. I left the computer lab because I wanted to make a bigger impact and give back, because I too came here without the language. So I think this is where I belong, just giving back, because I started in the same place. So the way I see technology is very different than a lot of people, just because I have that technology background when that I taught computers for 9 years. So I'll just skip ahead just because I know what's coming. It's going to take a while for that to log on. My kids use technology all the time, every day when they come to my class. The kids who are ESL students, for those of you who don't know, those are students that every kid that comes into our district gets a home survey test, a language test, and if they speak a language other than English at home, they all are given an assessment, a language assessment test that determines whether or not they are either limited English proficient or non-English speaker or proficient, and they go right into the classroom. If they score non-English proficient or limited English proficient, then they are entitled by law to get a half hour of ESL, which is English as a second language, which is where I come in. They come in to me for at least a half hour a day. The rest of the day they spend in their classroom. That doesn't mean that they don't see me any longer than a half hour, but they're with me a half hour. Now, the way I have structured this, well, this logs on. I guess I should have. I thought it would be logged on. I didn't know it wasn't. The way it's structured, my little room, I have a small room because I see small groups at a time. I have a smart board that was recently mounted on the wall. I have the projector just like this one, and I have access to the iPads or the school's. iPads are not mine, but because I have 4 kids at a time in my class, I am able to borrow the school's iPads, and each one of my kids has one. So if you excuse me for a second, I'll get my presentation up, my slideshow. I'm just skipping around just because I know what's on there. Here it is. Are the speakers connected to this, Roseanne?
You have to just plug it in. It's the green plug.
Created today.
Well,
I was working on it until a few minutes before I came. Okay. So, I will start with my third slide or so. I didn't bring my kids with me because I couldn't, but I brought the next best thing, which are a few videos of them doing what we do. As I was saying, we have a smartboard, we have the iPad, we have a desktop that we use mostly for printing, and of course I have access to the computer lab, which we also visit often, just because I'm right across the hallway from the computer lab. It will show up, I want something. Now my kids, just so that you get an idea, just because they are the protagonists of this presentation when it comes up, they come from all over the world. I have, don't even ask me what this is, Roseanne. You didn't tell me.
Just use, don't make any changes. I would just, right?
Top one.
Top one? Let's do
But
that.
that's going to go through though, isn't
Yeah,
it?
you don't want
Then
to.
it's on.
Oh, I already clicked. Here it
There
is.
you go, score 5. Hit the X, Natasha. Hit the red X.
No.
No.
Just no.
There you go, now hit it. Yeah.
That's all right. Okay, we don't need it.
The good thing about this is, okay, once I get it working, let me minimize this since we will need the internet. Why is it still opening?
Just close to one.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
Just click on OK. You're too nervous. Don't be nervous.
No,
You
it's
don't
not
bite.
me. It's not me. I should have brought my computer. That would have worked. Every time I do F5, it brings the internet.
Then
That's
go
the
click on
thing.
slideshow from beginning.
I'm coming. Okay, here we go, please. Drum roll. Okay. I'm going to skip this. Now, like I said, I didn't bring my students, but because they are the stars of this show, I thought you would want to meet some of them. Hopefully it's loud enough. We can't hear him. There's no sound in this.
Is the speaker off, Natasha?
It shouldn't be. She just used it. Here it is.
No, she used her speakers.
Oh.
The light's on.
The light is on. It still is not playing.
Is the volume on that laptop on?
My name is Aaron Patel.
Here we
I
go.
came from India. I'm in 5th grade. I speak Gujarati. Michael, I came from Philippines. I came from Egypt. I speak Arabic. Hello, my name is Russell. I come from Honduras and I speak Spanish. My name is Khalid. I come from Pakistan. I speak Urdu. My name is Yasin. I come from Egypt.
So, as you can see, they come from all over the world. We have a large concentration of kids from Egypt that speak Arabic. So, my knowledge of Spanish doesn't really help me at all. Because even the one kid that comes from Honduras does not want to speak any Spanish. So we speak English. Now, what we do in this video is a big part of what we do. I record them. And they get to hear themselves, pretty much like what you're doing, but now with the language. And then they get to see, and you'll get to see it too, how they have improved through time. And the parents as well. Because with everything that I do, I am able to share it with their parents just by a click of an email. And the kids too, they know how to do it from the iPad. So whatever we finish in class, the parents know. The parents know what they're doing. So the benefits of using technology, it was so hard for me to even narrow it down. First of all, I can tell you it's a big equalizer because my kids are not necessarily wearing the trendiest clothes. They are not necessarily participating in the class because they're very self-conscious of their accent. So they come in and they all have an iPad. So right there, this is it. I'm excited. I'm empowered. This is my room. This is where I have it. I have it all. I have a pencil. I have a binder. I have paper. I have crayons. You come into my room and that's all you need. They show up with nothing else. They know this is it. I come to learn. I come to be active. Now, many of my kids come with a big gap in their education. The computer and the iPad allows me to narrow that gap every day, every minute that they're with me. Because if they come from the class, what is hiking? They were talking about hiking. They may not raise their hand in the classroom. They come to me, we look it up. They have it right there. The kid that is literate in their native language can use it as a translator. And I get them the keyboard, and they will type it. Unfortunately, they are not all able to do that, but if they are, they use it for that. So they translate, they go back into the class, well, now I know what they were talking about. So we use that. And for writing, too, so the technology gives us a picture dictionary, a thesaurus, an atlas. It's right there at their fingertip, and I allow them to use it. And the camera, of course, we can record anything that happens. My class, it's student-centered. They come in, they lead, and you will see it's dynamic, it's interactive, it's a half hour, it goes boom, boom, boom. They come in, they know what to do, and they learn every day, and you'll see how much they progress. And of course, I can share it. I can share it every day. These parents are not the ones that come. They're not the ones that go to parent university. They're not the ones that are in the school. However, they know what's happening, and they know what's happening because the kids come and tell me, oh, she got it on her phone, or we saw it on the iPad, or even if it is whatever we're doing on the computer, can you give me that website? It's very hard for me. Well, you're going to write this very, very long website, copy and paste it, and they send it to the parents themselves from the iPad. So the parents know, and many times, which I like a lot too, is that, oh, my parent was learning English with what you gave me. So it allows us to bridge the communication gap too with the parents.
You have a student for an entire year then?
What?
You have the same student for the entire year?
Yes, most of the time. Sometimes they exit because they can be in the program 3-4 years if,
oh, really? That long?
If you stretch it. It takes that long
no, I
for
understand,
them to.
I understand.
So if they reach the point of mastery and they're proficient enough, half a year, then they could exit half a year.
Right. And
yes, they could exit half a year, but usually I have them all year, yes. So this is a typical start of the lesson in my room. They come in, and I just did this when Roseanne sent me the email to invite me to come over. I just decided to tell them, please come and, just do it. I'm going to videotape it. And they're so used to it that you'll see how they just They just performed. They did what they do every day. It wasn't rehearsed, and you will see that someday. I'm telling you, I did work on this even before I came, and it was working.
Saying QuickTime is not available. I don't know why.
Oh, Roseanne, that was the highlight of my lesson, of my presentation. I can't believe it's not working. All right. So anyhow, they come in, we do the weather as I do now, and that's what I had in the video. The kids come in, they do it on the smart board, we record the weather, and you were going to see them looking at the weather, the temperature on the iPad. They look out the window, you see the weather, they record it on the smart board. The next day it's there, we do it for the whole month. Once they do it for the whole month, of course, we have to do something with our data, and we do it with pencil and paper, which is when Anahita came to see me. We do it with pencil and paper half of the year. They learn how to do a graph. We talk about it because it isn't just about learning the basic language. We also have to learn the academic language in our lessons. So this is a part, there's a lot of it on what we do, just on the do now, and looking at the weather is science. We do the math of the temperature, and then we graph it and we talk about it. We do that the first Monday of every month. So we do the month that just passed. So that was January, as you can see. That was our crazy temperatures of the month. And we talk about the dips, and actually that's exactly when you came, when we did this, when Anahita came to visit. Now, for this half of the year, we started, now we go to the computer lab and we do it. Because now they have mastered how to do it with pencil and paper, so we go to the computer lab and we do it. Hopefully by June, they'll be able to do it by themselves.
So some of the youngsters that you get speak very little English then?
Speak very little English, but this is, like I said, the equalizer.
No,
It puts us on the same level, and they can do this. And they've done it repetitively every day. They do it. Now they have that vocabulary. They have.
It's like
Now
a
they
kid
can talk
playing
to you.
the instrument.
Yeah,
Go practice a little more.
exactly. So at least about the weather, they can talk to you. So that's something they come in, they tell you, and look, and what do you think? Because many of them come from a place where the weather is always the same.
Right.
So for them, these dips in temperature, and many of them, this is their first winter, so they had never seen below zero temperatures,
Right.
you know? So this
Youngster
is,
from Honduras, right?
yes. So, now, what I do is I document how much they have progressed. And I use the iPad for that just because the versatility of it. We use an app called Show Me, if not every day, weekly. Now, when we have kids that come in and know very, very little English, we have to teach them those basic interpersonal language skills, which is the ones that are every day, what you use every day, what you say every day, you know, the parts of the body, the parts of the school, the parts of a house, what you're wearing, what are you wearing today. Now, what I did here, just because I wanted to share it earlier on, I decided to teach them the clothing with a Build-A-Bear. And I decided, I recorded the first one, and you'll see it here. Hopefully this one will work. I recorded the first one, not necessarily knowing where this was going to take me. Of course, nowhere.
But it's on your website, right?
It's the internet, yeah. I don't know what's going on.
I would load it again, load the page again.
Here it is. So here it is. This is the very first time. Notice the language.
Tuesday, November 26, 2013, the teddy bear has a t-shirt and a scarf. Today is cloudy and cold. And shoes.
And the bear is also wearing shoes.
Today is Tuesday. House for the new house for the teddy.
Okay.
This child's only in America for a few months.
She had just arrived, it says right there, in June. She's in 3rd grade. That was June. That was the first day. I decided to bring this Build-A-Bear. It was a huge excitement in my room. She got a dress, and that's what we videotaped. That's why it was sideways, because Like I said, I didn't really know what I was going to do with it or how it was going to progress. But I think it's invaluable to have the first one, even with the tilted bear.
Do we try to pair these youngsters up with other youngsters from the same country, or?
If it's possible,
If it's
yes.
possible.
Like I have two in the 5th grade, and yes, we pair them up.
Right.
But she doesn't have anybody in her class, at her grade
At her
level,
level, right, I
that
understand.
speaks
I understand.
Arabic.
I understand.
Now, I did this is now, that was November, this is March, 4 months later. Now, remember how the girls spoke? Now you're going to hear. Now, this we do when we send to mom. We do when we send to mom that day. So mom is knowing exactly what we're doing. The parents know
Mom
what.
gets it. She's all excited.
Today is Monday, March 10th, 2014. The weather is cloudy and mild. The student wear a blue t-shirt, a pink skirt, and pink slippers. And we will go outside because the spring is coming.
What a difference.
So you
What a
see the
difference in 4
difference.
months.
You
Now
see
you've
the
covered
difference from the one-word utterances to now she's describing what she's wearing,
Right.
and this is only in a few months.
Right.
So this is, I can document this now. It's there. So of course this is just an example of what we do. By the same token, on this very same app, what we can use it for writing, and anybody can use this for writing. It doesn't just work for my kids. We can do pre-writing. Again, this was a while ago. We can do pre-writing on the iPad.
That Saturday was awesome. We met the high school kids. We played the main game. We took pictures outside. It was amazing.
Now this was in October. You see the date there? Because once I upload it, it stays there like that. This was in October, and that, again, that is why the picture is like that. Now what happens is, and this happens not just for the ESL students, that happens for everybody, for a lot of our students as well. So these techniques work for any of our other students. They can speak eloquently like this student who's almost ready to graduate. But then when it's time to put it in writing, he can't do it. So what I do, I go, all right, this is your pre-writing. Now I want you to tell me what you're thinking, and now let's put what you're thinking onto the paper. Because that's where the problem comes.
Right.
When it's time to write and you see it and it doesn't make sense, it's not coherent. Yet when he talks, he could even put, you know, the exclamation points. It's just transferring that to paper. So we work on that. They can listen to it, and we can, again, we can keep a record of that. So this is just an example of one app that I use. I also use EduCreations for the same. I'm not going to show them all for the sake of time, but I also use EduCreations, and we did a unit on football, on the Super Bowl, and they got to narrate what happened. So it's a lot of language. So they come in, they do the weather, and then we go into whatever lesson it is. And I invite you to go onto my website to see what we're doing, because there's so much that we do every day, even in a half hour a day. We also have used Animoto. We use it that's to make slideshows. We did it last year. We'll do it again. We just haven't gotten to it. There's just so much in those iPads that you can't really do it all. There's just too much. So, or there's too much for me to even tell you, what we're doing. But they make their own animations. So, I'm looking for here it is. Their own slideshows. This is a different app. And she made this last year. Again, I share this. This is all shareable. I'm not accessing anything. The parents get this very same link. And they can see, and of course the kids love it. Once it loads, here we go. So I have high school kids coming and working with them on Fridays, and this was from last year. Again, if you see, it's May 14th, 2013. She picked her own music. She got to document her activity. We planted the sunflower seeds, and we recorded all that information. And of course, it's all about building that academic language and the cognitive, getting it to the front of the brain and being able to use it every day. So we do it, we share it, they get to take it home, and I also use it for writing. Like I said, we use, and I brought some samples, we make books with Scribble Press. I'm sure you're familiar with, those are just books. We use Scribble Press for writing and publishing books. They get to take it home, of course. And again, we get to share it. These are all shareable, everything we do on our computer. And the last project that we embarked on last week, as you can see, it's very, very new. We did it last year. I just changed it this year a little. For many of them, this is their first spring. Notice there was still even some snow there. And they saw the leaves falling in the fall, and now they don't believe that they're going to come back. So what we do, last year we went out with clipboards and we recorded the signs of spring and the changes of spring. We do it every Friday when the high school kids come in to work with them. Now this Friday, as you can see, they all had an iPad. So for those of you who are active on Twitter, that iPadded, it's when everybody has an iPad, they're iPadded. So my kids were all iPadded. We went out on a spring walk, and we were looking for signs of spring. Now this time we didn't have our clipboard. We had an iPad, and their assignment was to look for signs of spring, take pictures, and eventually, hopefully, they'll make their own video about...
Excuse me, these high school kids, they volunteer?
They volunteer every Friday.
Touch on that. It's killing me. I have to say something about this. The high school program that Natasha created last year she has named it, she and actually, as it turned out, her daughter happened to be part of the National Honor Society at the high school. And they both collaboratively came up with this idea of having the students from the high school, certain students, come over to Cheesewake every Friday after the high school was done. And I know I talked about it briefly at one of our board meetings last year, but they named it the SHORE program, Students Helping Others, Responsibility, and English. And it's phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal from, what Natasha has shared with me personally, just these high school students going, and what's beautiful is it's a project where it really is mutually beneficial. The high school students are not just teaching the young ones are also teaching them. So it's just a beautiful sharing activity. They look forward to it.
That's their highlight of their week. Now, I chose to do this with them just because the kids have the iPad, and for me to be alone with all of them with an iPad, it's a little overwhelming. So I said if the high school kids are in, there's a lot of eyes, because they each have an iPad. I mean, they do know how to tweak them, but just because it is an iPad, I wanted them there. So I do invite you to write to me, or of course you can follow me on Twitter. I do put stuff out there that we do. A lot of the ideas I get are from there. Stop by and visit. There's so much that we do in our class that I wish I could have shared everything. I wish everything had worked. When Roseanne invited me, she said, I didn't know how long I had, and I go, oh, Roseanne, 5 minutes? And she goes, no, Natasha, 10 minutes. And then I went home and I go, oh my goodness, 10 minutes, that seems to be so long. So when I started working on it on the weekend, I go, oh, 10 minutes, that's going to be so little. I have so much to show. So I do thank you for your time, but most of all, I thank you. I thank you for giving us.
You were a little nervous in the beginning, but you loosened
up.
Well,
because when the technology doesn't work, it makes you sweat. But it worked in the end. So, but I do thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Natasha. Appreciate it. So I think, just from what we saw tonight, we can see that the iPads, the document cameras, the computers, the software, the projectors, the interactive whiteboards, all the things that the board has supported that we've as a district have invested in is really, it's coming to fruition, and the kids are really benefiting across the board through all disciplines.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I can say. I mean, as you see from what's going on in the in these classes, and this is, again, it's just such a small component of what's going on in other classes too. Unfortunately, our world language teachers couldn't be here. I really wanted you to see that as well. But like I said, they're being used as a tool for teaching, not as, this separate and apart thing that exists in an entity of its own.
And
that's the beauty of it.
And I think across the board, the teachers are recognizing that you just don't go to computers anymore as a separate component. They're using that as Anahita said, as a tool.
It's a tool, right.
Right. So there's
Very
been
important tool.
there's been a tremendous paradigm shift in the district, I think. And Donna, I'm sure you would agree with that. They're more aware, they're more apt to try things too. Teachers that we never thought would be willing to try are trying and
It's one of the
attending
most important
workshops.
things that we could have done in this district.
Absolutely.
I mean, some people thought that, why do we need computers, or why do we need whatever.
That's what I said 25 years ago.
Thank you.
When they
It's
first
today.
put in my room.
Right.
There was no winter.
Thank you. As far as the park update goes, I think we pretty much covered everything.
Right.
When Jeff spoke, Barry, do you have anything that you want to add to? Basically, we just said that every time we get the devices to a certain point, they change what we have to do, and it's got to be
you covered
redo.
this in the curriculum side?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only thing, is that, every day they're making a change or
tweaking.
doing an update of this, then updating the update that we did the update 2 days ago, and so it's a challenge, that's for sure.
And I do thank the building support people and the people that are teachers that are working with the iPads in the schools, because working with Mrs. Barrett, did she leave? Okay. And with Priscilla Sierra, our tech integration teacher, they've been making the rounds, and they've really, Nick Andriacci, Mr. Brennan at the middle schools, and at the high school, Fallon Quiles. Did I say that right? Quillis? Mm-hmm. Okay. They've all taken a leadership role and helping, and Karen Wolstein also. The last piece that I have is number 2, which is the Children's Internet Protection Act and AUP Acceptable Use Policy. And I did pass out 2 pieces of paper. One of them is the requirement of SEPA, which is the Children's Internet Protection Act, and also the board policy in terms of acceptable use of computers. We are required by law to have this on a district technology agenda in order to qualify for E-rate funding, which our current E-rate is a mid-40-some-odd%. And basically, what is required is that we have certain filters and certain software in place to guarantee safe surfing for our students and acceptable use among our staff members. In terms of the email, we do have Mimecast in place, which filters our email. And in terms of our internet searching, we have Smoothwall, which is a category filter, which will block certain categories. We have different use levels set up. In other words, a teaching staff member has more rights than a student, and like teachers, if they log on individually, they can go to YouTube, but we don't usually allow the students to go on and search YouTube freely. So all of this is required by law, and of course, they can change some of the requirements, and they can change, not the requirements, some of the permissions based on needs. For example, if a teacher is doing a certain project and wants the kids to have access to a certain website or access to a certain video, they can categorize it so the student has access just to that website or that video for a limited basis. So we are in compliance with all federal laws, and basically it's those 2 software programs, Mimecast and Smoothwall, which, what do they call it? Cement wall?
Yes,
Kids
cement.
call it cement wall because, basically they have to, if they want something that is not accessible, if they have to fill out an online form and basically ask for permission to use it. Barry, you want to add anything?
No, it pretty well covers it, yeah.
Okay, so any questions or anything, items?
No, it's very interesting, and even,
I think we all learned a lot across the board. Okay, well,
I want to thank everyone for coming, and we'll see you next month. We don't have a meeting in curriculum. I don't know if you have one in technology, but we will be